Welcome to Tales of Honor, a podcast with a mission to tell the true stories of every recipient of our nation's highest military award, the Medal of Honor. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Honor podcast, and this is a special bonus episode. I had mentioned back on the podcast not that long ago that I had a fellow reach out to me in regards to a photo that I had that was incorrect for one of the Medal of Honor recipients, and this led me to have a conversation with Mike, who we're going to talk to today on the podcast. So it kind of goes into his process for photo researching and restoration, photos starting back with the Civil War and covering Medal of Honor recipients now for the Medal of Honor Museum Foundation. And he has also done some work for the Library of Congress as well, too. So it's kind of a cool little break from Medal of Honor stories to kind of give you a peek behind the curtain for what goes into some of these stories that are out there, for what I have to do in order to make the artwork for each episode and get the stories for each episode as well. So I hope you enjoy. There are some links in the show notes for you to check out some work done by Mike. And without any further ado, let's get right into the call. Alrighty, everybody, we have on the phone Mike Serpa. Mike is retired, and he does a lot of photo researching, I guess is one way we could put it. And he reached out to me in regards to some photos I had on the website that were actually incorrect. So I'm very appreciative that Mike reached out, and this kind of turned into a possible idea for an episode, and here we are. So Mike, thank you very much for agreeing to be on.
Hey, Christoph, thank you for having me, and I just appreciate your website, and I listen to the podcast when I'm researching for photos.
Well, that's always good. I know when I see, I can't. I'm a huge podcast person. I listen to a lot. I mean, probably 90% of my day is podcasts. But for whatever reason, when I'm writing, I cannot listen to podcasts. I have to listen to music. So it's that whole crossover of the brain. So it's good that you're kind of doing the opposite. When you're listening to podcasts. That's kind of cool. But tell us a little bit about yourself. Kind of a short and sweet little elevator pitch of who you are.
Well, I've been retired for about 10 years, and I was looking for something to do, so that's how I started getting involved with photos. I wanted to digitally restore every general's photo of the Civil War. Well, little did I know that there was thousands of generals. So,
and did you have a goal for just the North or North and South?
Yeah, both. Yes,
both. Okay. And so how did you actually get into? Because I know you sent me over some photos, and I did notice that they were semi-restored. So that was actually something I wanted to bring up here too. So this was more than just finding the photos, but actually a restoration as well.
Yes. Yeah. I had too much time on my hands, so I thought, man, if this little spot on this photo, maybe if I could just remove that. So I just use iPhotos and another little program that's called Seashore. So I guess if I could say so, the more I use these programs, the better I got at it. And I just kind of like doing it.
Yeah, I when my father-in-law passed a few years ago, one of his old Air Force photo was brought to me, and it wasn't in the greatest of shape. It had really faded from the sun, and I took it upon myself to try to do some form of restoration to it, and I actually think I did a decent job. It wasn't. I'm sure it could be done a lot better, but it was kind of fascinating to me, and I've had a few photos for the podcast that I've gotten where they don't. I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of Civil War recipients. They have their photos are in ovals almost. They have some sort of a frame already on them, so that doesn't quite fit into the artwork that I put in. So I try to make it more of a rectangle, your typical 8x10. So I've done a little bit of touch up on them, but not. I wouldn't dare call myself any form of restoration there. But I've always found that pretty interesting as well. So in your research, have you ever been really happy to find a particular photo?
Yeah, there's, I guess right off the top of my head, there's been a couple I could think of. One was John Mapes Adams. He was his photo was in at a major website, but it was a wrong photo.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Marine, and they had a Navy, a man in a Navy uniform. So as I looked online and searched, this incorrect man would show up. The name William Seach. I says, well, he's in a Navy uniform, but John Mapes Adams was a Marine. So I couldn't find a photo of him. And then one day I thought, you know what? He was born George Lawrence Day. So when I searched for George Lawrence Day, I found his photo.
What era is this? What year?
Oh, he was Boxer Rebellion.
Okay. Yeah, I've had that a few times too, where I'll go to look for somebody, and I think it's fairly common in the early 1900s, late 1800s to find out that someone enlisted under a different name, or they changed their name when they immigrated here or something like that. So that's, it doesn't always come up in the first search. So.
Right, yeah, a lot of times there's variant spellings of their name. If they had some, well, I'll just say maybe some kind of a name from maybe like Eastern Europe or something, and they got in the U.S. and they kind of anglicized it a little bit.
Yep. And then you also have people who have, they went by their middle name, but it's obviously not their first name, but that's what they went by. So that complicates things. But yeah, the Americanized version of names throws a wrench. I've had that a couple times too. I'm like, why can't I find a grave for this person? I'm like, oh, well, that's because it's not spelled that way.
Yeah.
So do you happen to have a favorite photo that you did find?
Yeah, I think so. It's because, like, sometimes I'll have a photo and I go, wow, this is my favorite. And then several months later, well, this photo's my favorite. But I've always end up, and I just go back to Thomas Custer from the Civil War.
Yep.
It's just, he's just sitting there, with his two medals, and he looks very confident and content. And I think, I would say of all of them, that's my favorite.
Yeah, that's. So I guess that this all kind of leads to, in emailing back and forth with you, you had mentioned that you are helping out the National Medal of Honor Foundation currently. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how did that transpire? How did you end up getting in touch with them?
Okay, well, we talked earlier about Civil War photos, and so I had a number of Civil War photos, and when I was looking, I don't know, whatever reason, I ended up at their website, and they had some photos, and so I was just looking through different photos, and I said, well, they don't have this man or that man or some other one. And I said, well, I have the photos. So I just contacted them and said, hey, I have some photos if you want. And they said, sure, we'd love to have them. So I think that was like 90 photos.
Oh, wow. And when was this? Fairly recent?
This was probably about 2013 maybe.
Okay.
So they accepted those, and I thought, well, maybe I could find more. So I just looked for more and more photos, And probably 2015, I sent about 800 photos.
Oh, wow.
And they only got around half of those online. I guess maybe it's hard for them to get volunteers.
Well, I'd imagine so. And I know even with, I actually had made my website after I'd already been doing the podcast for a while. And the task of going and backlogging everything that was already done on my end, the stories I already written, and going back and assigning, it's, while continuing to do current content, it's a very daunting task. So, especially, at that point, I think I maybe had 100, but you're talking 800. So, I'm sure that takes a little bit of time.
Yeah. And then since that was like 2015, of course, at that time, they were going to build it in Charleston.
Right.
But it's going to be in Texas. So anyway, in the years since then, I just looked for more and more photos, and I just got done 2 weeks ago loading up my Dropbox for them, and I had almost 2,900 photos.
Jeez. Now, this is going to kind of tether back to your original. You said your original mission was to do all Civil War generals. Have you completed that mission, or is that still kind of ongoing?
I probably have, I don't know, I might have 1,000 or more of them.
How many are there?
Oh, there's probably 1,000 for each north and the south.
Oh, wow, geez. So you're about halfway done.
Yeah, well, and some of those won't be found. But I try to get photos that are, at least 400 pixels across.
Okay.
Because below less than that, there's not really, the details not there. And
right.
So.
Yeah, you're dealing with bad pixelation at a certain point. It just makes it not worth doing.
Yeah.
And I know we talked off air here about the resources that you use. So it sounds like you said you mostly use archive.org. So that, I'm assuming it falls under internet searches, but you also use books. And do you ever reach out to any family members?
I generally don't use books. I've not reached out to family members just because I was finding so much online.
I see. Yeah, you just really haven't gotten to that. You haven't needed to do that yet.
No, and I don't plan to.
Okay. Well, I know you mentioned the archive.org, so I'm going to probably take a deep dive down there at some point. But I'm assuming that website has stuff from books is probably what it's made up of, or?
Yeah, it's more than a book repository. There's videos, there's music, there's old television ads. There's just all kinds of things on there, and they have different collections, maybe like old silent movies. Somebody had photos of, a certain area they were interested in. Yeah, it's a massive website. So
when you're looking for a photo of somebody, be it a Medal of Honor recipient or just a Civil War general, how long does it take you to verify that is the person? Because I know I've run into this a few times where, and I know you mentioned it earlier, once a photo is out there, people then, it circulates very quickly. So if it's on, if it's here, well, then someone's going to cite it as that's where I found this one, even if it's the wrong picture, it'll then just get cited to one person. So how long does it actually take you to verify, and how do you verify it?
Okay. If the photo says Joe Blow, then you're going to believe it's Joe Blow. So you would look. What regiment was he in? Was he? If he was a sergeant, and that was his highest rank, and this photo is somebody that's a lieutenant,
Right.
then that's not going to be him. I have contacted other websites, talked about different photos. There's one, Elmer Snow from the Indian Wars. He got his arms damaged. But there's another photo that says Elmer Snow, and his arms are amputated. So why would this man, whose arms were damaged, but he still had some use, why would he have his arms amputated?
Right.
So I kept digging around, and I found I don't remember the name of the college, but had the same photo, and it wasn't Elmer Snow, it was Samuel Decker.
And I think that kind of leads to how you and I got linked up in the first place, because the photo that I had found, and actually I'm drawing a blank at who it was originally reached out about. Let's see if I can pull it up here real quick.
Yeah, I'd have to check my email.
John Cooper and Frank Baldwin. So,
okay, yeah.
Yep. So I had Frank Baldwin's photo listed as John Cooper. And the way I had originally found that photo was I assumed it was just an aged photo, that he was just older in that photo. And then once you said that wasn't right, and then I looked and you showed me, I'm like, oh, nope, that you're correct. So, but it had been that point where I'm like, okay, well, this, and I usually, like I said, I tried to verify by going to just more than one source, obviously, and if they all overwhelmingly say that this is this person, then I go with it. But I've had a few times where I'm like, okay, that's showing me one person. These two sites say it's somebody else. So usually majority rules. But I've actually had two, and I've had sources split right down the middle. I've had I forget who it was, but I looked up somebody, and it wasn't a photo. It was actually I think it was a birth year that I was trying to confirm, and two sites said it was one thing, and two sites said it was another. I'm like, well, these are all reputable sites, and I don't know who to believe. So,
I know. Sometimes I post photos on Find a Grave, and they'll say the person was born in 1824, and I'm looking at a book that was printed in 1880 and said he was born in 1825, and
Yeah. Well, even just today, tonight's episode that drops, we're recording this on Wednesday the 18th. Tonight's episode, I was looking at Find a Grave and the recipients, the cemetery where he's buried. The section they listed was one spelling, but then when I went to another website, I saw a newspaper clipping that had it spelled differently. So then I had to go down the rabbit hole to confirm, okay, which one of these two is right, the newspaper or Find a Grave. It actually was Find a Grave this time, but yeah, it's verifying that stuff is definitely tricky. Yeah, it does. It does. Do you have any unique or cool stories that comes to mind from over the years? I mean, actually, I didn't even ask. So how long have you been, you said about 10 years you've been doing something in this form?
I started right at 2012.
So is there anything cool or unique that's happened during that time that you'd want to share?
I think the thing is just, to me, it's just important to get these photos out. It's not so much that I do a restoration on the photo. It's just I found a lot of photos by spending hours and hours at my computer that if you do a regular internet search, you won't find the photos.
Right.
So when I find a photo like that, it just gives me kind of a pleasure to know that, like the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation is going to post it on their site, and others can see it.
Yeah, it sounds kind of similar to why I'm doing what I'm doing with the podcast, because it is, especially especially going back to the Civil War, it's such a long time ago. But as we, every year every new year is another year that we, as humans, tend to leave behind and forget. So having all of these things in one spot is very important. I do agree with that, and I'm very thankful for people like yourself who have done this, because for me, telling a story is one thing, and I think this is kind of cool because for you, it's the photo, but it's putting the face and the story together are very, very important. And I think without one, the other, I mean, it may leave you longing. Like if you find a photo, you might look for the story that goes with that photo. And if you read a story, you might want to see the photo that goes with the story. But having them both in the same spot, I think, is pretty important. So it's so I actually am very thankful for yourself and for people like you that have the time to do this, because I know I have some, but not as much.
Well, hey, if I can plug your website for you, you do a great job. You have a photo, you have a little written article, and then you also have your podcast where you tell the story behind the individual. And most of those are only 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, so I wish. I wish that some of them were longer. And I know this from looking up recipients as well. Sometimes you can't even find when they died, or sometimes you can't find out when they were born. You only have a little, just a sliver of information. And I actually like the stories. I'll be honest with you, I don't like writing the very long stories, because it's a big time suck. I have to sit down and write all of this. That's what I undertook to do. But the information's all there. The short ones I don't like to do, because it's quick and easy for me to do, but I just wish there was more. I don't like the stories of he was born, he did this, he died. I don't like that.
Right, and that's all you find. And another thing, like if you go back to the Civil War, the citation might read gallantry in battle, or captured enemy flag, and you read the citations now.
Oh yeah, the citations are a book in themselves. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I find that interesting as I've gone from the Civil War all the way up to present day. They just get a little longer, and I think part of the reason for that was the stipulations for receiving the Medal of Honor became stricter and stricter. They needed more information in order for you to receive it. So in the beginning, it was just it was to promote good behavior and good morale in the Navy. That's the whole reason the Medal of Honor was founded. So to see that kind of evolve over the years is interesting. So.
A problem I had a few times. I would, let's say if somebody was awarded the Medal of Honor in the 1890s, and I find a photo, and I'd restore it, and then I go, "Oh, this looks really good." And then if I looked on the National Medal of Honor Museum's website, I said, "Wait, I can't find this person. The book must be wrong, or the website's wrong." But then when you find out, they rescinded a bunch of Medals of Honor. So I just restored a photo of, a former Medal of Honor recipient. But
is this more common for Southern for the Confederates? Because I know there's that whole area as well.
Well, I mean, the Confederates didn't have a Medal of Honor.
They had something similar, didn't they?
I thought that was a post-war.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. So, and one time I found a photo, and I was going to post it on Find a Grave. And there's a photo posted, and the woman's name, the last name matched the name of the Medal of Honor recipient. So I got a hold of her, and I said, "Look, I have this photo of your great-great-great-grandfather. Do you mind if I post it? And she says, no, please don't post it. That's not him. I've never seen the photo before. I said, well, he looks just like him, and so I didn't post it.
Huh.
But,
well, can't win them all, I guess.
No.
Well, I know you said that you're part of a Civil War forum community. Is there anything you'd like to plug as far as your work that you've done over the years? Is there a place where you have them all centralized, or is it really more, is that private? You have that on your own Dropbox?
Well, they're all on my computer. I've posted Marine Corps recipients on Flickr. Somebody's looked up my name, they can find those there. I've posted quite a few Civil War recipients at Civil War Talk. That's a Civil War forum, and there's people on there that just have a vast and depth of knowledge of the Civil War.
And I guess I should have asked, if I was smart, I would have asked this in the very beginning. Why the Civil War? Why did you choose the Civil War to get started?
Well, I don't know. It was just, I think as far as restoring photos, if you looked at a photo of someone who got their medal in Afghanistan, there's not much to restore in that photo.
Right.
You might find a little speck here or there, but.
So I guess I'm trying to ask, like what came first, the want to research and restore, or the looking into Civil War stuff and seeing that there was a need for it?
No, the photos came first.
Okay.
And it just happened to be the Civil War.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I just thought of something. The Civil War Trust, I donated just over 600 photos to them of Civil War Medal of Honor recipients.
Oh, geez.
So, and they're kind of with the American Battlefield Trust.
Well, I'm taking notes as we talk here, and I'm gonna make sure I have links to all of these in the show notes as well for people to check out. So, but do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I guess, you know what? I think restoring a photo might be like somebody who details a car. He's going to put hours in on the car, and when the customer comes to get the car, they'll just say, oh, this looks nice. They don't know what kind of DA that you use. They don't know what kind of pads, what kind of polishing compound. They don't know if clay bar was used.
It's funny you should say that because that's literally my day job. I own my own detailing business, so it's funny you should
really?
say. Yeah, it's funny you should say that.
Because I kind of like detailing. I'm not professional, but I kind of like detailing cars. So.
But you're absolutely right. That is, people will come and they don't see behind the curtain. How the sausage is made. They don't realize that. In order to get that stain out, or in order to get that scratch out, what went into it, they dropped it off, they returned, and it's fixed. So,
right.
Well, hey Mike, I really appreciate you taking the time to have a conversation with me here for the podcast, and I know for a fact that I probably will be in touch with you again over the years in case I need something, can't find somebody, or maybe have something wrong, or just to verify. So I really appreciate it, and look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Okay, well, Christoph, listen, if you need a photo or something, get a hold of me, and I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to just talk a little bit about my hobby and my passion.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you again, and well, I'll look forward to talking to you in the future.
Very good. Thank you, Christoph.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thank you for listening to Tales of Honor, and if you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe and tell your friends and family. Tales of Honor is written and produced by Christoph Ambrose, and theme music is Loyalty and Duty by Floruz Music. If you have any questions, you can send an email to talesofhonorpodcast@gmail.com, and please be sure to visit talesofhonorpodcast.com for more episodes and information.